UPS truck.
Santee neighbors rushed to pull a woman out of her burning home just moments after a small plane crashed into this neighborhood. It's our top story right here on the 4. I'm Heather Myers.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. A quiet neighborhood in shock after a twin-engine aircraft went down around 12:15 today in a fiery crash near Santana High School.
It happened at the intersection of Jeremy and Greencastle, and at least 2 people were killed. We have live team coverage beginning with our Steve Price in Santee. And Steve, what have you learned as of this afternoon?
Well, Heather and Carlos, you can imagine still a very active investigation out here. What we do know for sure is that the Cessna was heading from Yuma to San Diego. Now, according to neighbors out here, they say they could tell that that plane was having problems. The next thing they hear, a loud explosion. Unfortunately, at least 2 people are dead. One of them, a UPS driver who just happened to be in this truck. He had just made a delivery when the plane came down. Now, it's not clear exactly where the plane hit. We don't know if it hit the truck or if it hit somewhere nearby and then pieces hit the truck, but you can see that the truck is completely destroyed, and unfortunately, the UPS driver inside also died. We're now going to move the camera over because a piece of that plane also went into several homes, destroyed at least 2 homes, including this one that you see here on the corner of the neighborhood here. Now, at this point, there were 2 people inside of that house. As I mentioned, at least 2 people confirmed dead, but not the 2 people in their home. They got out. The reason why they are alive tonight is because of neighbors.
Is anybody home? Is anybody inside? Hey, come on! Get out of the house!
So it happened around 12:15. Neighbors ran to the house at the corner of Greencastle and Jeremy Streets here in Santee. They pulled a woman out of her window. Then they heard her husband, who was in the backyard, so they broke down the fence to the backyard and they pulled him to safety too. Seconds later, that house was fully engulfed in flames. We have some video. This is from a Ring camera. It's from far away, but it actually shows the plane coming out of the sky and then landing, and you see the big explosion. Neighbors say at this point they noticed that a UPS truck was in the neighborhood, but it was clear to them the driver was dead. They wanted to save him, but there was nothing they could do to help. Fire crews, they arrived 6 minutes after that first 911 call, but 2 homes here quickly going up in flames. Several more had damage. They are praising neighbors for their heroic efforts to save that couple. They escaped with injuries, but tonight they are alive.
She looked like she was okay. She was walking. Her hair was burned. Her clothes were burned.
She kept saying her dog was inside.
And then we did go back to try, but the officers were moving us back. And then we saw movement in the backyard, and then that's when we rushed again and pulled the fence down.
So here's a live look down Greencastle. You can see the debris field is huge. It runs about a block long. In fact, a short time ago, I had a chance to see the engine. It's in someone's backyard. I got some exclusive video of that, and we're going to show that to you coming up new at 4:30. And Heather and Carlo, you're going to hear from the man as that engine came into his backyard. We'll show you where it ended up just a few feet from where he was sitting.
Yes, Steve, just such a traumatizing and emotional scene, this video that you've just showed us. Going back to that Ring doorbell footage that you mentioned earlier on, it appears that the plane almost nosedives into this neighborhood. Have you talked to any witnesses about what they saw prior to that happening, or did they hear anything like perhaps a malfunction with this aircraft?
That's exactly what they were saying to us, Heather. One gentleman said to him, it almost sounded like a movie, not to make light of it, but he said he could hear the plane was having problems. He heard it coming down. He ran outside, and as soon as he got outside, he saw the big explosion. So you're right, exactly what you see on that tape. That's what neighbors say they heard. They could tell something was wrong. They just weren't sure what was wrong with that twin-engine Cessna.
Tragic situation. We're learning a lot more. We'll have more with Steve live at 4:30. Thanks, Steve. Just good to see those neighbors jump into action. Kind of restores your faith in humanity. See how willing they were to put themselves in danger for that family.
And when they pull that woman from the house, my heart just dropped because you could see the look of shock on her face. And it's an absolute miracle that she was able to essentially walk away from that scene.
A helpful miracle with those people.
Oh my goodness. The plane went down during a really busy time of the day, and many people in Santee, they watched as this happened.
Our Kelly Hessedall spent time talking to people who witnessed the crash. She continues our team coverage live from the scene. Kelly?
Yeah, and Carlo and Heather, neighbors described just a terrifying scene. They say those that were inside their homes, they felt their homes shake. They felt the explosion. Now, we saw people out here who were emotional. There were people hugging. There were people crying. If you take a look behind me, you can see that charred UPS truck. We're across the street from where Steve was standing. And behind that truck, you can see that firefighters are inside that home behind it working at this hour. Now, listen to what one neighbor told us.
Oh, it was loud. It just was a major boom. I saw the smoke was just very black, very huge. I just started praying for the kids at the school, and you know, this is a family neighborhood, and we're close. We're just around the corner. It could have happened to any of us.
And those neighbors say their hearts just sank when they saw the devastation. They talked about being worried when they tried to call other neighbors and the fear they felt when there was no answer. They saw the smoke, the flames, and some described just feeling helpless. Others did what they could and rushed into action, as you heard Steve talk about. This neighborhood is filled with families, lots of children in this area. Another neighbor told us he felt the plane overhead. Take a listen.
We heard it come across the house, and I was ducking. I was in the house. It was loud. And the next thing I know, within 2 seconds, the explosion. And we ran out of the house, and I was going to go down there to see if everybody else, but then fuel tanks started going off, and she tried to get through 911, and it was already busy. It was horrific.
And another live look here at the scene tonight. As Steve mentioned, a dozen homes damaged. The debris field spans a block south of here. There were multiple fatalities in this incident. No word yet on the identities of any of those who died. But as you can imagine, this is something that really rocked this neighborhood. And at this point, folks in this area are really just waiting for any updates on this tragedy. Carlo and Heather.
But Kelly, Steve Price showed us those neighbors jumping into action. Your video, a little more recent, kind of shows shock settling in. Are the people in that neighborhood, are they still milling about trying to comfort each other? What's going on the ground right now?
Yeah, around me right now, we've got lots of neighbors. I don't know if, Rachel, you want to pan around and just show. This is just a sample of some of the neighbors that are out here. There are people up and down the streets around here asking questions, talking to each other, saying, did you hear it? Did you see it? You know, what did you see? Did you hear that this happened, you know, with this person? So just a lot of people in this area, just a lot of families, you know, that just really want to know, how did this happen? And who are these people who sadly passed away?
Yeah, Kelly, the whole scene is surreal. But when you take a look at that UPS truck, who just happened to be in the neighborhood at the time delivering packages, it's just almost hard to fathom what happened here.
Right, and we still don't know the identity of the person who died, but I will say there were neighbors out here who say the same UPS truck driver that they've come to know over the last several months comes through here all the time, and they kept saying, you know, if it turns out to be this person, we're just heartbroken. We wave to this person every day. We see this person, you know, they're kind of a part of this neighborhood.
Yeah, you get those mixed feelings, grief for the people lost, and the relief that it didn't happen to you if you lived in that community. Kelly Hessedall reporting live.